Growing terrorism in Nigeria. In Africa, Nigeria champions multilateral counter-terrorism efforts.
We will continue to take bold steps in safeguarding our nation and the wider region.
Dialogue on state police moves to higher gear as stakeholders meet in Abuja. World Earth Day focuses on one of the greatest threats to mankind.
People should be a lot aware about the pollution, plastic, the environment. We need to keep the environment safe. We need to keep the earth safe.
It's always a pleasure to have you join us on the Network News on NTA. I'm Naja'atu Tijani. Reading with me tonight is Musa Abubakar on Business with Business News. Remember that this broadcast is always being streamed live on our website, nta.ng/live. You can watch the replay on our YouTube channel and do follow us across all social media platforms for the latest news. We're starting with security watch and counter-terrorism. Terrorism is evolving in Africa, so relevant players on the sides of the state must equally evolve more comprehensive and innovative approaches towards combating terrorism on the continent. The common ground of leaders at the high-level African counter-terrorism meeting holding in Abuja. President Bola Tinubu declared the meeting open under the theme Strengthening Regional Cooperation and Institution Building to address the evolving threat of terrorism in Africa. State House correspondent Musbau Danwahab reports.
From the Chad Basin to the Sahel and then the Horn of Africa, the 5 regions on the continent face the evolving threat of terrorism and its consequences. Tens of thousands of human lives have been lost to the scourge and lots more still facing the risk.
The epicenter of terrorism has shifted from the Middle East and North Africa into sub-Saharan Africa, concentrated largely in the Sahel region. The situation in Africa, particularly in the Sahel, is dire, with some of the most violent terrorist groups operating in the Sahel, the region now accounting for almost half of all deaths from terrorism globally.
These issues are demanding drastic measures, and as Nigeria hosts the rest of the continent, partners across the globe are here too to join in the search for solutions to the threat of terrorism.
By prioritizing collaborative initiatives and supporting reconstruction, disengagement, reintegration, and reconciliation efforts, we can address the root causes of terrorism and promote sustainable peace and security.
Additionally, political instability, governance challenges, ethnic and religious tensions, economic inequality, and poverty also significantly contribute.
Then, the challenge is apparently half solved, with leaders here identifying poverty, marginalization, illegal mining, proliferation of small and light weapons in the hands of non-state actors as part of the root causes. And just as the host president, Bola Tinubu, agrees that terrorism cannot coexist with democracy, the leaders believe that inclusive development, good governance and rule of law should be guaranteed, while also building institutions and strengthening existing structures to stem the tide of terrorism on the continent.
No one state can solve this problem for itself. It requires continuous and concerted action by all of us. We need to reposition our regional organizations and build the capacity of our national institutions to effectively address this element of terrorism and violent extremism.
We must invest in building the capacity of our institutions to detect, prevent, and respond to terrorist threats, whilst respecting due process, transparency, and accountability.
We need to build synergies between our forces for defence and security, but we also need to deploy effective institutions in a context of reorganising and restriking global balances.
Now, this assemblage has just 2 days to brainstorm and come up with an enduring solution that will turn around the current threat of terrorism in Africa. In Abuja, Musbal and Wahab, NT News.
Still on counter-terrorism, the Minister of Defense, Muhammad Badaru Abubakar, is urging the government of Libya to join forces with the Nigerian government in tackling the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, as well as the trafficking of illicit drugs from Libya to Nigeria. The minister stated this when he had an audience with a delegation of the Libyan National Security Agency on the sidelines of the high-level African counter-terrorism meeting in Abuja. The Libyan delegation, led by General Mahmoud Azain, also discussed other security issues affecting both countries, including sharing of intelligence, which will assist in policy formulation between the two countries. The federal government says the idea of state police is not just a mere policy proposal, but a potential milestone in strengthening the nation's internal security architecture. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this when he declared open a one-day national dialogue on state policing with the theme Pathways to Peace, Reimagining Policing in Nigeria, held in Abuja. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
We view the outcomes of today's deliberations as crucial inputs that will guide government's actions towards reforming the institutions of the police and achieving a safer and more secure Nigerian.
This is coming as the Tinubu administration is aware of the complex security issues confronting Nigeria. Part of measures to address challenges are developing and refining of strategies.
It gladdens my heart that the 10th House of Representatives, under the Speaker, Right Honorable Dr. Tajuddin Abbas, has keyed into this initiative of the President. The involvement of the legislature in executive reform proposals ensures continuity and synergy. Let us use this opportunity to engage and explore every option with the seriousness and diligence they demand.
He implored participants at the national dialogue to look at the idea of state policing from multiple angles, saying the president deserves commendation for being open and proactive towards the idea of reforming and decentralizing the police force.
As Vice President, I am deeply invested in the outcomes of today's discussions. The insights we gain will inform our administration's approach to supporting legislation that not only enhances the capacity of our police force, but also strengthens the bonds of trust between law enforcement and the public.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan and former Head of State General Abdulsalami Abubakar advised that the traditional institutions should be given a role to play and be engaged in maintaining peace and order in their domains.
It is absolutely necessary the politicians, as much as possible, should avoid exerting influence on the ways the police is going to operate.
We have to debate is how do we run the state police vis-a-vis the national security architecture of the country. The issue of the need for states to have their own police is not negotiable.
Comprehensive training programs on ethics, human rights, and professional conduct should be implemented to instill a culture of integrity and respect for the rule of law within state police forces.
The national dialogue gained momentum after President Tinubu called a meeting of governors and other stakeholders at the presidential villa to discuss issues of establishing state police in the country, and the National Assembly is currently considering a bill towards that direction. In Abuja, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
And yes, still considering that bill which the National Assembly wants to adopt, adopting a multi-layer security approach such as the establishment of state police in addressing insecurity in Nigeria has become indispensable. This is from the National Dialogue on State Police convened by the House of Representatives. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
The issue of state police has been a recurring legislative proposal. Another season of constitutional alteration is here, and the House of Representatives believes there is need for a more objective and strategic engagement on the clamor for state police. This will lead to the alteration of the 1999 Constitution to remove police from the exclusive to concurrent list.
In Nigeria, we are optimistic that through collaborative efforts and commitment to evidence-based solutions, we can establish a policing system that is not only effective in combating crime, but also earns the trust of Nigerians and corporations between law enforcement and the communities they serve.
Security lawmaking is to ensure that any initiative, such as establishing state policing, adheres to our Constitution and aligns with the broader goals of national security and our public welfare.
This national dialogue, supported by Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, UK International Development, and the United Nations Development Programme, was a platform for present and former leaders and members of the diplomatic community to present their convictions on the prospect of state police. Beyond the idea of decentralization of police in Nigeria, the debate focused on addressing the fears of those opposed to it.
That the way to go might actually be to decentralize the police in a way that ensures that the decentralization of the police safeguards it from abuse.
In my home country, Germany, each of the 16 federal states have their own state police, their own police laws, and their own police training institutions.
The present security situation in Nigeria today has called for a thoughtful review of the policing system that is in line with both our local and international best practices.
If we are able to set up state police departments, we must ensure that they are free from shackles of politics, religious extremism, tribalism.
The Nigerian Police Force, on its part, is not in support of creating state police. It, however, recommended adequate funding and strengthening of the federal police in line with the theme of the dialogue, Pathways to Peace and Repositioning Policing in Nigeria.
State governors could use police forces under their control for political or personal gain.
The Constitutional Alteration Bill on the establishment of state police has already scaled second reading in the House of Representatives. Ignatius Nkwo, NTN News.
The Senate is interfacing with the Federal Ministry of Power to find a solution to the challenges in the sector and improve electricity nationwide. Joshua Ojito reports that efforts by the federal government to increase generation, strengthen its transmission network and ensure efficient distribution of electricity were brought forward before the Senate Committee on Power.
Poor power supply has been a major challenge for Nigerians. Now, their representatives at the Senate are at the Federal Ministry of Power and the Transmission Company of Nigeria (TCN) to engage relevant stakeholders on how to improve electricity supply. Low generation, weak transmission and distribution networks, incessant grid collapse, as well as the recent hike in tariff, among others, are issues raised by the Senate Committee on Power.
What we're going to do is that we're going to also focus our oversight on the ministry with regard and the TCN with regard to the implementation of the World Bank project regarding SCADA.
While the Senate calls for more funding for the power sector, the upper chamber is emphatic that underperformance will not be tolerated. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu says ongoing investments in the sector, which include Siemens project, mass metering, initiative to construct 100 megawatt solar-powered projects in each state of the Federation to reduce pressure on the national grid, will soon yield results.
We are acquiring SCADA to make sure we are able to control frequency automatically. When we ramp up generation, because I believe that too low generation too affects grid stability. So this is where we want the support of the Senate.
A lot of transmission lines were vandalized, and some substations that are uncompleted, people went there and vandalized them. We are now trying to find a way either to take a Mobitra or try and buy the equipment that were stolen or damaged.
The Senate Committee on Power is expected to also engage distribution companies on issues of load rejection and lack of investment in distribution infrastructure. Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
And from power generation to extractive resources, President Bola Tinubu has approved the reconstitution of a 15-man National Stakeholders Working Group for the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NETI. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, will serve as chairman of the group, while the Executive Secretary, CEO of NETI, Dr. Orji Ogbonnaya Orji, will serve as secretary. Others include the Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zak Adedeji, Member and Government Representative. Group Chief Executive Officer, NNPC Limited, Mele Kyari, is the representative of extractive companies, oil and gas. Ogenegwiki Ajafia will represent the Oil Producers Trade Section, Lagos Chamber of Commerce, and President, Miners Association of Nigeria, Dele Ayondike, will represent the extractive companies, mining. While every zone in the country has a representative, the civil member is expected to be elected by the civil society organizations. The inauguration of the board will be announced in due course. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu will on Tuesday, April 23, depart Abuja for the Kingdom of the Netherlands on an official visit. On the invitation of the Prime Minister of the Kingdom, Mark Rutte, President Tinubu will engage in high-level discussions with the Prime Minister as well as hold separate meetings with His Majesty King Willem Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Kingdom. While in the Netherlands, the President will also participate in the Nigerian-Dutch Business and Investment Forum, which will bring together heads of conglomerates and organizations in both countries to explore opportunities for collaboration and partnerships, especially in agriculture and water management, towards innovative solutions for sustainable farming practices. There will also be extensive discussions with Dutch officials on port management operations, for which they have world-renowned expertise. After his engagements in the Netherlands, the President will proceed to attend the special World Economic Forum meeting scheduled for April 28 to 29 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. At the World Economic Forum meeting, which focuses on global collaboration, growth and energy for development, President Tinubu and his entourage will use the opportunity of the gathering of more than 1,000 leaders from all walks of life to engage in discussions in furtherance of his renewed hope agenda. It's time for a break. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. You're just in time to discuss World Earth Day and the surge in global warming as a result of human activities and climate change will leave the Earth on the verge of a tipping point if nothing is done to save it. On World Earth Day, set aside to raise awareness about the dire consequences of plastic pollution and land degradation, efforts are being made towards a 60% reduction in the production of plastics by 2040 and an ultimate goal of building a plastic-free future for generations to come. Charles Alpha reports.
Earth, the third planet from the Sun and the only astronomical object known to harbor life. This is enabled by water, covering 70.8% of Earth's crust. The rest, land, harboring man, and biodiversity is now ailing, owing to extreme weather, depletion of the ozone layer, and negative human activities.
We want more consciousness. People should be a lot aware about the pollution, plastic, the environment. We need to keep the environment safe. We need to keep the earth safe.
The United Nations General Assembly proclaimed 22nd of April as International Earth Day to recognize the Earth and its ecosystems as humanity's common home and the needs to protect and enhance livelihoods, stop the collapse of biodiversity, and articulate the commitment of nations to limit global temperature rise to less than 2 degrees Celsius over pre-industrial levels.
The Earth is where we have for now. They have not been able to find a way for us to be translated to the moon and all of that. So we must keep it alive. We must sustain it and hand it over to our children.
So for us to be able to increase resilience to climate change, we have to come up with activities that will restore the ozone layer.
Planet versus plastic. The theme for this year's World Earth Day. The message on this day is simply unite, and implores nations to adopt policies to curb plastic pollution and unwholesome human activities. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
That report highlights the focus of World Earth Day, which is shared responsibility of protecting habitats for the survival of mankind and all other living things. To discuss the day via Zoom is Dr. Michael Teungwa David, an environmental advocate and the African Regional Coordinator, Citizens Climate International. Thank you for joining NTA News, Doctor.
Thank you for having me, and happy World Earth Day.
Happy World Earth Day, Doctor. Now, let's begin with the theme of the day for 2024, Planet versus Plastic. Considering the UN report which says 19 to 23 million tons of plastic are dumped into water bodies annually, and of course the landfills as well, what is the effect of these non-biodegradable material on the environment, considering that of course they are non-biodegradable?
So every day is actually Earth Day. As far as you eat every day, you breathe fresh air, you take water, you live within the environment. Every day is Earth Day. So over the years, since plastics was discovered in 1950, we have produced over 8 billion metric tons of plastics. And the question now is, where are all these plastics? The quick answer would be, we've thrown them away. So away to where is the question. I'm happy you mentioned about the millions of tons that have been dumped into the ocean. So all of these plastics are still with us. If we burn them, they become decarbonized and they are in the atmosphere. We dump them into the soil, they are in the soil. We dump them into the sea, they are in the sea, because they take years, thousands of years to degrade. Since they are not biodegradable, they tend to cause issues within the environment. And when I'm discussing plastics, I usually would not give examples that are far away. Think about us and within our environment. What have you seen that plastic is causing? First, you will see that all our drainages have been turned to refuse dump. And what do you see? What is the percentage of waste that you see there? They are mostly plastics. Nigeria ranks 9th in countries that produce, the highest contribution to plastic pollution. We produce roughly about 2.5 million tons of plastics. And all of this is within our environment. The rains are just about to come. And once there is showers, go to the street and see what you see. It is flooding, and all of that have effects on our health, have effect on the infrastructure, have effect on biodiversity. The plastics in the ocean is consumed by the marine ecosystem, is consumed by the fishes, by all the aquatic lives. And even when it breaks down into microplastics, it's consumed by the fishes, and guess what? It comes back to hurt us. So the impact of plastics on our health, it affects our environment and nearly everything.
I tried to interject there, Doctor, but it seems you couldn't hear me. I was trying to cut you there where you talked about plastic affecting marine life and, of course, the ecosystems. Now, what deliberate efforts should the global community and stakeholders in Nigeria be doing to ensure environmental protection, to mitigate the growing threat to flora and fauna, the very essence of living things, in short, the very existence of living things, in addition to what is already being done?
We must find alternatives to plastics, and let's begin with the use of single-use plastics as we have it in Nigeria. So all stakeholders, individuals, government, and businesses. So for government, we need to come up with the enabling environment that will promote the circular economy that we are talking about. Now, about 4 years ago, the House of Representatives passed a bill, a plastic bags prohibition bill, but it did not see the light of the day. I believe that it provides an opportunity for all stakeholders to come together to revisit that bill and ensure that we do away first with single-use plastics in Nigeria. For businesses as well, it is not business is not all about making profits all the time. Making profits over the planet, and in the end it will come back to haunt us. It is not good for future generations. So the businesses must begin to look for alternatives. We don't want people to lose their jobs, so we are not saying wake up tomorrow and ban, the use of plastics in the country. But there should be steps and that enabling environment that would, enable Nigeria to attain that and be part of the global community to ensure we have the global plastic treaty. And now for you and I, our lifestyle is where the issue is. We go out, we buy, you go to a supermarket, you buy 10 items, and you receive 10 plastic bags that as soon as you get home, you throw them away. Where do they go? They are still within the environment. A single water bottle, you just imagine that the world has a population of 8 billion people. And if 8 billion people were to take 1 or 2 plastic bottles every day, just think about that. It's billions and millions of plastics all within our environment. So we just need to change our lifestyle. It has to start with us. We are the ones that are in business, we are the ones that are in government, and we are the ones that are...
So change begins with you and I, Doctor, and every Nigerian. Thank you very much for sharing those insights. I've been speaking with Dr. Tiongwa Michael, an environmental activist, on planet versus plastic on World Earth Day. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
And still on a matter closely related to the environment, health. The Coordinating Minister, Health and Social Welfare, Mohammed Ali Pate, wants all stakeholders and partners to ensure no woman dies from pregnancy and childbirth-related conditions. The minister, who said this at a press briefing to mark the beginning of Safe Motherhood Week in Nigeria, stressed the need for every newborn to be protected and assisted to thrive into healthy childhood. Basi Taikbang reports.
The National Safe Motherhood Week presents an opportunity to create awareness and generate public discussion on the best strategies and interventions to promote maternal and newborn health. Safe motherhood, the minister noted, is achieved when every pregnant woman received all the pillars of safe motherhood as entrenched in the fundamental principle of equity.
We aim to reach at least 7 million pregnant women through those services over time per year, and at least 6 million newborn birth. That's an aspiration. We are not there yet, but that's on an annual basis what we should be aiming for to ensure that no woman is left behind when it comes to access to quality maternal care.
Some stakeholders and partners regret that, despite the progress made, it is disheartening that many lives are still lost to preventable complications during pregnancy and childbirth.
Special call for all stakeholders to double up efforts to see that we bend the curve and crush our maternal mortality indices. The body of note that safe motherhood is the priority of the health sector agenda. And rightly so, as over 120,000 frontline health workers capacity will be built and additional primary healthcare facilities will receive funds under the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund to cater for mothers and children.
We will continue to support all aspects related to family planning, pre- and postnatal care.
This year's theme, investing in maternal health for a sustainable future, with the slogan, Mother Lives, Child Thrives. Basi Taikban, NTA News.
Are your kidneys functioning optimally? Well, you might not know until you do a kidney function test. And if not, chronic kidney disease, also called chronic kidney failure, describes the gradual loss of kidney function. And experts are advocating a healthy lifestyle to reduce kidney disease burden in the country.
Kidneys are among the most important organs of the body. They serve as filters by removing waste and returning clean blood to the body, thereby balancing different elements such as water, salt, and other minerals. Due to the important role kidneys play in ensuring the overall health of the body, they need care and protection to enable them function optimally.
When people are not able to afford orthodox medicine, they go natural. Of course, we are not saying that natural medicines are not good, but quite a number of these have not been refined enough to know their side effect. And the primary point of call of people who are sick is this natural medicine, alternative medicine, if you like. And so a lot of these unrefined herbal preparations are used, and they are also known to cause kidney disease.
The global chronic kidney disease burden is alarming, as data shows that about 700 million to 1 billion people are affected, with a prevalence of 9.1% to 13.4%. In Nigeria, various studies have revealed the burden to range between 1.6% and 12.4%.
We have to maintain a good lifestyle, that's watching what you eat, and also stop smoking. That can also affect the kidneys.
It is expected that people use lessons learned from the messages to protect their kidneys. In Lagos, Hinginu, John Adams, NTA.
Now from health to education. For parents in search of a school where excellence meets culture, there's good news. Correspondent Olainka Ojo reports that Abuja World Academy prides itself as a school which offers an education which is total, evidence-based through Cambridge curriculum, tailored to meet the needs of the Nigerian child.
Established on 4 pillars of responsibility, integrity, curiosity and empathy, Abuja World Academy is founded on the premise of a wealth of experience and a commitment to deliver top-notch educational services. With the motto, Learning Today and Leading Tomorrow, the school, with a state-of-the-art facility, is situated on a land area of 3 hectares and has provisions for children into early years, primary and secondary. Its vision is not just to be one of the best schools in the world, but to be an inspiration for learners of all ages and to lead with conviction and effect positive change globally. For Joe Daly, headmaster of the school will focus on inquiry-based learning.
And we have the best teachers Nigeria has to offer. That is the academic side of things. The future world leaders is a slightly different challenge, okay? And we have to we have to embrace a more holistic approach to it. We do that through pedagogy, advanced pedagogy, like active learning and inquiry-based learning, but we also have to grow the child themselves as a human being.
With a Cambridge curriculum that spans from music to coding, forest school to physics, one interesting thing about the school is the priority placed on safety and welfare of children.
You know, if we want to develop the next generation of adults, we have to embrace everything that's happening. And right now AI is huge, it's everywhere, and we need to teach our children to use it responsibly and with integrity.
So the academy, I would say, is bridging already an identified gap in the city. The presentation for me indicates really a school that is ready, that understands the modern demands for quality education, but in a safe and secure environment.
Located in Abuja, Abuja World Academy can also boast of a top-notch sports complex for extracurricular activities. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
This is the network news on NTA. Stay tuned for business news with Musa Abubakar right after some messages.
Thanks for being there. Now let's bring you up to speed with business development. The federal government has commenced implementation of strategies towards the creation of jobs and lifting many out of poverty. Receiving the strategy document, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Noura Abbas, says the document contains practical footprints to broadening the employment net and create wealth.
Trade and investment, as part of this program, will be distributing some skill acquisition items to selected beneficiaries to empower them to create wealth for their households and contribute to the national economy.
Such as skill training, access to finance, and market linkages, which will enable every individual to break through the cycle of poverty.
In Working the Talk, the first set of beneficiaries went home with industrial sewing machines, inverter welding machines, vulcanizing machines, hairdressing kits, among other empowerment tools. Now, calls for increased funding and investment in Nigeria's capital market have intensified, with the latest coming from stakeholders under the Association of Senior Civil Servants of the Security Exchange. They say the new leadership in the Security Exchange Commission has to pursue these objectives vigorously to restore investor confidence.
This new management team to approach government to relieve the deduction of 50% from the gross income. That will give leverage to regulate very well. But this market is an information-driving market. You must train people, you must retrain them, both locally and internationally. They must be ahead of the market.
And to the capital market is a positive first weekday of trade as the NGX bourse began the week on a high note. This is as the Nigerian delegation at the IMF World Bank meetings in Washington expressed commitment to continue to drive policies that will strengthen the economy. The all-share index climbed 0.13% to close at 99,538.39.75 basis point. At the end of the first weekday of trading of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a total of 306 million shares in 8,298 deals, corresponding to a market value of 5.3 billion naira were traded. The current market capitalization advanced to 56.4 trillion naira. Now that's a quick look at business. Najatu, it's over to you.
Thank you, Musa. We're talking public relations now, and activities marking the 2024 Nigeria Institute of Public Relations NIPR Week has commenced in Abeokuta, Ogun State, with NIPR's top management engaging with traditional rulers and capacity building for upcoming public relations professionals. Yemi Dalimo reports.
The week-long event of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations commenced with this special engagement with traditional rulers in Ogun State, focusing on the need for the royal fathers to leverage on public relations strategy to build goodwill, mutual understanding, credibility, and reputation management in their various communities.
We are emphasizing community relationship
and we are trying to relate with them in a manner that they will understand the weight of what they carry from the perspective of community relationship for peace building.
So members of the Traditional Council say the engagement with the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations is apt, as they would adopt the PR strategies to enhance the development of their domains.
Like you can get from the responses from the KBACs, a lot of them are picked one or two things from today's interaction.
It's a very fantastic program. Not only that people had an opportunity to vent their opinions, I am particularly impressed that it has to do with public relations and the fact that people agree that all of us are public relations officers in their own various domains.
The NIPR also organized a mentorship session for students drawn from different institutions of higher learning.
If we are studying mass communication with the intention of becoming public relations practitioners, we should major in public relations.
For us to be in PR, for us to be in mass communication students, we must read very, very widely. We have said that several times.
You can only rebrand if you are tracking and you are trending.
Rebranding, tracking, self-development, maintaining professional ethics, and not derailing from the principles of social responsibility and national interest are some of the crucial elements in public relations. In Abeokuta, Yemi Dalimo, NTA News.
The news continues after this time out. Nigeria is set to host presentation of the State of the World Population Swap 2024 report with the Nigerian Television Authority (NTA), re-emphasizing commitment to sustaining its mandate of delivering accurate and reliable information. Chairman National Population Commission Nasir Isa Akwara led the population team to the NTA headquarters for an engagement with the leadership of the NTA in order to strengthen advocacy on population matters, especially the census. Oluseye Adiago reports.
Having been involved in Nigeria's recent census publicity, the Director General of the NTA is testifying to a solid preparation to generate a verifiable data for national planning, while the chairman of the NPC hinted that the census project is on course.
It's a mandate for us to inform Nigerians on the importance of our census, and of course also to inform them on the nitty-gritties and the need for them to participate fully. I don't think Nigerians can afford to miss this opportunity, because at the end of the day, the information or the data that is being collected is going to be used by government in sharing resources and also coming up with policies. And so I think for us in the NTA, we of course will continue to give you all the necessary support.
We want to conduct a census that has never been conducted before. One is digital. Two, it is we're also greening the process. And then three, we want to make sure that all characteristics of the population is captured. And we also have one of our major partners, the UNFPA. Their leadership is coming from New York. She's coming to launch the State of the World Population Report, and she's seeking the support of Mr. President to lead in the launch.
With a unanimous decision on having a full commitment to real-time information dissemination on population activities to Nigerians, the meeting came to a close, with each party ready to fulfill its own part of the agreement reached. In Abuja, Oluseye Adiagbo, NTA News.
The Emir of Ilorin and Chairman Kwara State Council of Chiefs Ibrahim Zulu Gambari has been described as a blessing to the people of Ilorin Emirate and Kwara State at large. This is contained in a congratulatory message by the National President of the Ilorin Emirate Descendants Progressive Union, Abdul Mumini Ayo Abdul Malik, sent to the monarch on his 84th birthday, April 22, 2024. The statement says, since his installation as the 11th paramount traditional ruler of Ilorin Emirate, the Emir has been a patriot and statesman who plays several roles to ensure the stability, peace and progress of Ilorin Emirate, particularly in the last 3 decades of his reign. The Emirate Council wishes the Emir a peaceful and rewarding reign and continuous support of the good people of Ilorin. On that note, we conclude the network news on NTA. Thanks for staying with us as usual.